So today I'm going to tell you a quick self-revealing story. You know, when I was a child, I acted as a child, thought like a child, all that. When I became a man, I put away those foolish things. For the most part, I mean, I do still like to tell a joke once in a while. But there were certain experiences in my life at a young age that certainly shaped who I am today. And so this is where this quick story fits in. So my mom, God rest her soul, she had this little special jar. Well, it was actually not that small. It was about yay big, and it was silver and it had a glass bottom. And being rather acrobatic as a 7-year-old, I was able to access it without too much impedance. And that little jar had a lot of special coins in it. Well, I didn't realize quite how special they were. I just knew they were coins, and I knew that you could take those down to the little grocery store around the corner. We called it the little store. Mitchell's it was called, and I could pretty much buy whatever I desired there. So I helped myself and didn't really, I mean, I knew that wasn't right, but I guess I was overcome, right, with temptation. And so I would, go there and do that basically every day for probably a couple of weeks. And of course, I had not been seeking approval from my mom to help myself to her stash. You remember that thing, wait till your father gets home? Yeah, so that is a thing. And so one day my dad got home and he invited me to go on a walk. I thought, well, that's kind of unique. We don't usually take a walk down the street, but that sounds good. Let's go for a walk. So then he proceeded to talk to me about honesty and truthfulness and things of that nature. And we got down to the end of the block, and then we turned around, and conviction was starting to set in, Took a little while. It was a little dull, probably from the sugar, But and then he started talking to me about how Mom had this special collection of coins and how the value of the coin is not just what's on the face of it, but it's also determined by its condition and its age and if there's silver in it. And so those coins were actually much more valuable than they would appear on the face. So we were almost home by that point, and I thought, if I can just make it across the street, I'll be okay. I won't break down and cry and confess and all that. Because now it was starting to come to me why he was telling me all this, right? And then we got across the street, and I was about ready to breathe a sigh of relief, and he said, why don't we walk down this street here? And I just broke down, and I cried. And I confessed. And I was sorry. Truly sorry. And it was a good lesson for me. Hopefully you've learned lessons too in your life about telling the truth and being honest, things like that. I think those things have helped me tremendously in my career, first in technology and then in real estate. I think I learned my lesson because many years later, I was actually in technology at that time. I was walking across the parking lot of a church, and I found a penny, just a regular old penny, no numismatic value, probably been run over, who knows what. And I put it in my pocket, and I started walking, and immediately a deep conviction sat in that was not my penny. It might belong to somebody, but it definitely at least belongs to the church. So I went dutifully right back, took that penny out, and I put it on the steps where somebody would surely find it, maybe put it into their treasury. Now, you might think that is really silly or ridiculous, but I think that conviction is from that little walk and talk that my dad took with me when I was 7. So many years later, it not only stuck with me, but it probably got maybe even more intense. Because what's a penny, right? Well, if it's not yours, it's not yours. And so I gave it back. The funny thing is, I ended up a member of that church some years later, and I don't think at that time I would have even considered that at that time. The truth always comes out in the end. So if there's anything I can do to help you, I'm happy to tell you the good, the bad, the ugly about every house, every deal, everything that we might encounter in real estate, and that's what I'm here for.